Ever felt like you ask God for something, but God is not responding to you? You have begged, you pleaded, you fasted, you did everything in your power, and still complete silence? This is the video for you. The first thing you want to do when you're asking God and trusting God with your prayers and desires, especially if you're journaling, you want to really surrender. It's all about surrender. So first, surrender whatever it is that you want. Once you ask God for something, the result is not up to you. God doesn't move on our time. God moves on divine timing. And only God decides what time that is. It could be tomorrow, today, 15 seconds from now. It could be a year from now, a decade from now. If we look at history of all the times we've asked God for something and God came through for us, I don't know about you, but for me, sometimes it comes when I expected it or when I needed it, but most times it comes at the very least time I expected it. But guess what? It was actually the very best time I could have had that happen to me. I want to tell you a story. Last year, while I was going to school and I had to pay for school, but I wasn't working, and the deadline was coming for me to pay out of pocket for my classes. So I was like, oh my God, I don't see where this money is gonna come from. The classes were about, I want to say somewhere between $1,200 to $1,400, maybe 15. And I was like, oh my God, I should I call my sister? Should I call this person? Ask this person? But I was trying to wait it out because I don't like asking people for money unless I know how I'm gonna pay them back. Because again, I wasn't working. Guess what happened? Out of nowhere, I kid you not, 2 days, actually the deadline for me to pay those classes passed, but I got a notification from the school that within 2 days they were gonna drop me from the classes. So I'm like, okay, well, I'll try to wait it out. I prayed to God, but I wasn't like focused on, oh my God, you're not answering me. I was just, oh my God, how am I gonna pay my classes? That was just my thought. Then guess what? Out of nowhere, I'm driving, I get a phone call, and it's from a title company. They called me, they said, hey Christelle, we've been trying to reach you. We sent you a check, but the check keeps coming back, and we've been trying to reach you. But by law, they had a certain deadline to, I guess, transfer the money to some type of account. I don't know how to explain that because, again, I'm not a title person. But turns out that check that they were trying to give me was from my escrow company from when I sold my house, mind you, like 2 years ago by the time they called me. So, and guess what? The amount, and I was like, I was just curious. I was like, oh yes, I can come pick up the check. She told me, well, what's your address so I can send it to your new address? And I was like, can I pick it up? And she's like, yeah, you can. So I was like, okay, great. I'll come and I'll pick up the check. And I said, by the way, how much is the check? I kid you not. The check was exactly the amount that I needed to pay for my classes. The exact amount. And she told me that she's been trying to reach me. She sent me emails. She called my phone. I've never had a phone call for her from the past 2 years that I received. I've never got a notification of a voicemail, and they've had my emails. She told me she emailed me. I've never for the past 2 years received any of those emails. Not until I needed that money at that specific time that it came through. So sometimes I'm telling you, God knows how he's going to rescue us from things. God knows how to answer our prayers. God knows at the right time. God is the one that's in charge. Think about it. God is taking care of the planets, like the moons, the stars. Everything is moving in divine order at the right time. Nothing is out of chaos. Everything is in order. So when you pray, when you ask God for something, you have to trust that God is going to give that to you. And I know some people are going to think, well, what happens when God doesn't answer my prayers? What happens when it's complete silence? First of all, silence doesn't mean that your prayer hasn't been answered. If you ask for something, I always end my prayers with, if it is God's will for me. If you don't receive what you ask for and it's a desire of your heart, it only means that God has something better in store for you. Your story is not over. Sometimes I am so glad some of the things that I prayed for never came true, because sometimes my prayers could have gotten me in trouble. My prayers could have led me down the wrong path. My prayers that I asked for sometimes could have destroyed me. So I'm glad that many of my prayers were not answered. But one thing I know for sure, when you ask God for something out of the desire of your heart, and when you ask God for His will for you, because God made you, God knows what's best for you, there is no way ever that God is not going to grant you the desire of your heart. And if the desire of your heart doesn't come at the time that you expected, don't give up. Don't be discouraged. Have faith. Trust in God, because God doesn't move in your own time. God is going to come through for you at His time. And His time, guess what? Is the better time for you.